Us and NBA teams are starting to make some decisions with their roster. The champion Knicks will sign Jose Alvarado to a 3-year deal after he declined his player option. As for the Thunder, they lock in some size in a competitive Western Conference. Isaiah Hartenstein intends to sign a new 3-year, $75 million contract to run it back with OKC for the 28-29 season. However, as we get closer to free agency, a few major questions still loom. Will the Celtics trade Jaylen Brown, and will LeBron re-sign with the Lakers or take his talents elsewhere? All right, welcome in our NBA front office insider, Bobby Marks, who's with us right now for more on these topics around the NBA. And our Shams Charania reported that the Celtics are actively listening to trade offers for Jaylen Brown. A lot of conversation that has come from that. So, Bobby, how do teams view Jaylen Brown right now as an asset?
I mean, there is a spirited debate going on in front offices right now regarding Jaylen Brown. There's on one side, there is the analytics debate, and the analytics do not view Brown as a high-level player. A negative net rating over the last 4 years in Boston, -10 when he was on the court this year. And then there's the eye test, which I am more in the favor of, which is a player that finished 6th in MVP voting, was all NBA this year, is 191 and 80 in the last 4 years, a player that can make an impact on the court. So it's going to be interesting who wins out on this debate as far as if there's a team that's going to go out and try to trade for Jaylen Brown here.
All NBA, a finals MVP, and an NBA champion as well. But I guess I'll just leave it there. Out west, LeBron James faces a critical offseason as a free agent. How much of it is in LeBron's best interest to re-sign with LA this offseason?
Well, I think LeBron's got to balance the family part of it. Certainly he resides in Los Angeles. I think there is the financial angle too. Certainly a player that's earned close to $600 million. And then there's the third part, which I think is probably the most important. What gives him the opportunity to compete for a championship? I think it's going to be interesting as far as where the Lakers are with this roster. Now, they've got $50 million in cap space to go out and fill in the blanks here, but you've got to figure out what LeBron's number is going to be before you actually can go out and commit to free agencies here. So it's a balancing act from the Lakers, and it's a balancing act as far as what LeBron's going to do over the next few days here.
Yeah, everyone will be looking forward to what happens with LeBron James as we look forward to next season. Bobby.
Custer with you. The offseason in the NBA has certainly been crazy. Giannis on the move, LaMelo, Dell, you had the draft, but probably no one's had a more strange experience than Celtic star Jaylen Brown, included in Boston's offer for Giannis. Shams Charania says they're still shopping him. Jaylen Brown's future in green, it's our take two.
The fact of the matter is that in Boston, he's 1A. He wants to be 1.
I think while it's important to him, I don't think that's the only thing. I think it's the relationship between Jaylen Brown and the Celtics organization.
We got to put a lot of blame on Brad Stevens, all right, because Danny Ainge probably would never have had Jaylen Brown on the trading block.
Usually when a guy like Jaylen Brown's getting traded, it is the start of a rebuild. That's not the case in Boston.
He can't continue to let the Boston Celtics, the organization, continue to take a leak on him and tell him it's raining.
The man is one of, if not the best two-way player in basketball.
If you're Jaylen Brown, you got to feel disrespected.
It's done as far as, like, they've got to find a deal for him at this point. They've jumped out of the airplane.
The fact is they're having these conversations because in their heart of hearts, everybody knows what Jaylen Brown really, really wants. He ain't trying to be deferential or a sidekick to anybody. He wants to be that dude.
Well, our three-time champ, Danny Green, was that dude. He joins us now to discuss another hectic NBA offseason. What do you make of Boston still trying to shop Jaylen Brown even to this day?
As much as you say I was that dude, I was definitely not that dude like Jaylen Brown is. So I'm confused. I don't know why you would trade a guy like this unless he asks for it and you feel like you can't patch things up. So when you put him out there for the Giannis Antetokounmpo and he felt disrespected and said, all right, well, you guys can make it happen. Now you got to move me because I'm unhappy. I don't remember or hear him say anything publicly saying that he wants out. So I don't know why they're still shopping him. There's nobody else on the market that is of that stature of Giannis or even a top 20 player. And if you can't get a top 20 or top 10, top 30 player, a couple of those pieces to replace Jaylen Brown, this is a mistake because this duo has proven to be successful. They're one with him. He held them down while Jason Tatum was out. So I don't get it. I'm just confused by the whole scenario. And unless he said he wanted out, I think you try to figure out a way to try to patch things up if it's not too late.
All right, we'll see what happens. Danny Green, thank you.
Sean Sharani reporting that the Celtics have had active trade discussions with teams all week. They continued after a deal for Giannis that included Jaylen Brown fell through. In some of the talks, Boston asked for 4 first-round picks. Three-time NBA champ Danny Green with us now on SportsCenter. Danny, what teams would make the most sense to trade for Jaylen Brown?
I mean, every team in the NBA could use a Jaylen Brown. He's that talented. He's gifted. We know he brings to the table. But for me, we talked earlier today on the show with Bobby Marks. He said Portland. I like that move, but I also looking at, Detroit could use a playmaker. They could really use him. The Denver Nuggets, I like that move too. I mean, even though they would have to come off Peyton Watson. I know they were talking about reconstructing some things with, Christian Brown contract, Aaron Gordon, even Jamal Murray. They're saying the only person that's really untouchable is Jokic. But they could use a Jaylen Brown when it comes to playmaking and his ability to finish at the rim and also get to mid-range. I like what Detroit could do. I like what Denver could do, even Portland. And, of course, some other teams that I don't know if the style of play fits so well, Phoenix and Indiana. But it could, mix up the things for what they got going on and gives them another scorer. He's a great player. He can kind of fit anywhere.
Brown, by the way, coming off career highs in points, rebounds, and assists, a phenomenal season. Speaking of phenomenal, LeBron James continues to do it. Set to become an unrestricted free agent on Tuesday. Danny, if he doesn't go back to the Lakers, what could be another potential option for the 41-year-old?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that everybody's looking at Cleveland as an option, a sign and trade. People are talking about the Jared Allen. It would make sense for both sides. Lakers would get a big man who's very good, lob threat for Luka and Austin Reeves. Then, of course, LeBron could do his farewell tour in his home city. So that's one option. I think other teams are looking at, the other side on LA or for the Clippers. I don't know if that makes sense. I can't see him in another uniform outside of the teams that he's already played for. And I don't see him going back to Miami. So I think it's really Cleveland or LA. And those are the two teams I think that have the best chance at landing him.
Yeah, keep in mind, LeBron has played 11 of his 23 seasons with Cleveland. Also, you spent time with him there in Cleveland.
With his new team. As we welcome in our esteemed panel, we have Bobby Marks, who must have flown overnight from New York, Chiney Ogwumike, Danny Green. So psyched to be talking to you guys about everything that has been happening. But first, Bobby, he has to keep it real for us. So, in terms of value, how's Jaylen Brown viewed around the league?
Hannah, it's all over the place. I think it's a matter of what teams you talk to. I think it's the analytics versus the eye test. The analytics are not great. When you look at Jaylen Brown the last 4 years, Boston's net rating is better with him off the court. This past year, they were plus 10 when Brown was off the court. However, I'm an eye test person.
Yes, no
So when
kidding.
you go the eye test, and I know Danny likes the eye test too.
Yes, I do.
This is what I see.
Yeah.
A top 10 player in the NBA, 29 years old, in the prime of his career, on a 3-year contract without a player option here, and has played at least 60 games in 4 out of the last 5 years. So you know what you're getting with Jaylen Brown. So it's all over the place.
He literally kept them afloat with Jason Tatum on the bench. They exceeded expectations.
Yes, I mean, again, I'm more of an eye test person, analytics. What did Josh Hart?
Well, they call it strategy now, Danny.
Okay.
Is that what they call it?
It's a fancy name.
So yeah. Again, I'm not Josh Hart where I say analytics is like, what does he say? A post that you can lean on, but you can't get you home when you're drunk or something like that. So I think analytics are important, but I'm more of an eye test person. Jaylen Brown is a top 10 player in this league. And if you can't get another top 10 player or two top 20 players for him, I think you're losing out. And now Giannis is off the table. What are you looking for? Why are we still dangling this guy out here unless you for sure have a certain U-turn or reroute of a person or pieces that make sense? There are teams that we'll discuss later on, but I just don't see it. Unless somebody else is willing to give up another franchise guy for Boston, why would you break up this duo that has shown that they've been successful over the last 2 or 3 years?
There's a hypersensitivity to Jaylen Brown, and he has embraced it, willing to be the villain, at times being the bad guy on the court, the one calling out the league and obviously snapping back or clapping back at our old friend, Stephen A. Smith. I think there's a sensitivity because of the podcast or the twitching, Twitch streams and that narrative that confuses people from what he's actually doing. I'm an analytics girl. I didn't even know the numbers were like that with Jaylen Brown. I don't even care about it. I'm the first person that would care about it.
But how much do you think we should care about the off-the-court stuff? Because you just named a whole bunch of social media platforms,
to me,
as opposed to what he does on the court and pairing with a healthy Tatum.
If what he's saying is so egregious, then I think that's a hypersensitivity, because at the end of the day, when he shows up on the floor, he's everything that you want to be.
That's what I'm saying.
He's the guy who, like you said, was a finals MVP, like someone that is a 5-time All-Star, 29 years old. And when his team needed him to rally, he did it this year at a very, very high level. And so I understand the narratives might look a little sus, okay? They might look a little sus with what he said, this being my favorite year and stuff. But, like, you won a championship with those two together, it must take an act of God, something huge, in my opinion, to break it up. But it seems like the 4 first-round picks is almost like telling us, oh, we'll do it, but you're going to have to give us
everything.
It just feels like that relationship would have to be so fractured to make this like a done deal where they have to move him. But you told us they're actually calling people.
Yeah,
right?
listen,
so
this is not them just
here?
This is not just them taking calls, and certainly they've talked with teams here. I think when you look around the league here, and I'm just going back to my days with the Nets when Mikhail Prokhorov bought us in 2010. When you have a new owner, they are the ultimate wild card. And Prokhorov that year wanted to go get Carmelo Anthony, and then he wanted to go get. They want a star, and you know who I'm looking at? Portland.
Oh,
new owner Tom Duncan here. Where the